Shalom. All praises unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Ruach Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. And shalom to the hopeful elect Akim that are teaching this word. Shalom Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Ruach Kodash. Now this is a clip here of the president of Guyana talking to British media. And he kind of, we know a lot of these people are set up, We know they're set up, but he's making some good points here. And basically, he kind of always curses out, Esau's system, the Western world, basically, and their involvement in slavery in Guyana and in the West Indies, and just the general crimes of Esau, right? He's like known for doing that. So he mentions here, he basically curses out, this British media institution in the UK in this clip, which I'm going to play in a second. And he basically goes into what? Reparations. Okay? So I'm going to play some of this clip here. But what people don't understand is this is Esau, Edom's world. This is the so-called white man's system. All right? And he's on top. Okay? And he ain't going to repair his wrongs. Okay? And you see, these so-called white people, it's only now that they're starting to, because the world's turning against them and the spirit of prophecy is against them, they're acknowledging the past crimes of their foreparents. Whereas for generations, they told our people to just forget about it. It's the past, etc., etc. But no, it doesn't work like that, man. All right, you have to pay for the iniquity of your forefathers. That's what the scripture says, because there's a such thing as reincarnation. Now, let me read this here quickly. This is, I typed in reparation. Okay, reparations. Reparations in the context of transitional justice refers to measures taken. Yeah, transitional justice. What does the scripture say about transitional justice? Second Ezra, what does it say? It says the world will be passed from one to another, meaning the power of the world is going to be passed from one people to another. So from Esau's hands to the children of Israel's hand, to Jacob's hands. Okay, that's transitional justice. That's the true reparation. Basically, the true reparations is the so-called white man's got to suffer what we suffered, man. He has to go into captivity as a race, and power has to be handed over back unto us, which is going to happen. But in this world, if you're a Negro, Latino, Native American, while the so-called white man's still on top, you ain't going to get no justice, man. So it says measures taken to address the harm caused by past wrongs, particularly in post-conflict or authoritarian societies. These measures, and what's an authoritarian society? Basically, the system that we're in now. Right? How did Esau, get his authority? He enslaved the people. He enslaved the Israelites to get what he has, man. That's how the so-called white man got on top. He got on top through what? Captivity. Okay? So this is what it is here. These measures can encompass various forms, including financial compensation, which is what Jake, when they scream for reparations, this is what they're talking about. Pay us, the 40 acres and a mule, which was all a lie. And no amount of money, Esau can't pay every so-called Negro, every Latino, every Native American no amount of money can repair what they did to our people, right? The balance is the scale is unjust. In fact, let me read this here. The scale is unjust. Okay? So no amount of money repairing the situation that our people are going through reparation in Esau's world is all madness. No amount of money can cure the issues of our people that Esau's put on us through captivity, man. The scriptures call it an incurable wound. So let me read this here. Isaiah 14:21. Prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. All right, and that's talking about the so-called white man, the Edomites. Prepare slaughter for their children. So they are being prepared unto slaughter. And how are they being prepared unto slaughter? By way of, the Archeum, the hopeful elect Archeum teaching this word, man. Prophesying, telling them their end is near, telling them who they are according to the Bible, telling our people who they are according to the Bible, that we're the children of Israel, that we're next to rule under Yahweh Shai. All right, that's the future. Okay, so they're getting prepared unto slaughter. And what's the slaughter they're gonna get prepared to? The nuclear missiles, man. World War III, the nuclear missiles that's going to destroy America and various parts of the world, destroy the state of Israel also, which will be rebuilt. And also when Yahweh Shai returns, with the chariots and gives his people back the power, they're going into slavery. That's going to be the slaughter, man. They're going to be going into 1,000 years of captivity under the children of Israel, man. Under Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans. That's the balance, becoming just again, man. And that's the true reparations, because the reparations means to repair. You can't, see, Esau cannot, with his FRNs and his money, he can't repair the wrongs he's done, okay? Because the wrongs he's done unto our people is generations of not just physical abuse, but mental abuse, man. That can't be repaired through checks and money, okay? For I will, so it says that they do not rise nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. And why? Because when Esau fills the world with his cities, what does he push, man? When the so-called white man fills the world with his agendas and his way of life, what does he push, bro? He pushes the homosexual agenda, the pedophilia agenda, the lesbian agenda, females over men, and so on and so on, okay? This is the agendas that they push. Okay, so it says, nor fill the face of the world with cities, for I will rise up against them, saith the Lord of hosts, and cut off from Babylon the name, the remnant, and son and nephew, saith the Lord. Yeah, he's gonna rise up against them, man. The Lord's gonna rise up against the Edomites. Okay. It says, and I will also make a possession for the bittern and the pools of water, and I will sweep it with the besom of destruction, saith the Lord of hosts. Yeah, what's the besom of destruction? That's the nuclear destruction, all right? That's gonna destroy America. The Lord referred to it as a besom, the besom of destruction. Okay, that's gonna sweep clean America, basically. Babylon the Great. It's gonna clear it out of the way. Okay, the Lord of hosts have sworn, saying, surely as I have thought, so shall it come to pass, and as I have purposed, so shall it stand. All right, and this is the near future, all right? And that's going to be the beginning of the end of Esau's world. But their future is 1,000 years of slavery, man. But that nuclear war, the besom of destruction, is going to destroy their empire, basically, because we are living in the empire of the so-called white man. Hence why you will never get justice here, man. If you're a black, Latino, Native American, you will never get justice in the empire of the so-called white man. This is their world. Why would you want to help to fix his wrongs that he's done to you in his system? When you conquer a people, you subjugate them. Okay? You don't help them get back up over you. Okay? And that's the true fear that the so-called white man really has. If Negroes, especially so-called Negroes in America, if they rise up and get into power, basically will they do the same thing we did to them, to us? But that's according to the scriptures, man. That's actually biblical. So let me play this here. And I mean, this president here of Guyana, he's Elam, because as we know, they put he's coolie, as they call him coolies in the islands. He's an Elamite, man. But he's a West Indian Elamite. He grew up over in the West Indies, so he knows about the suffering of Jake over in them lands. Okay. All right, and he knows the history of slavery. Okay, and he pushes it. So let me play this here.
Are using the occasion to renew their demand for reparations. Among them is Guyana President Irfan Ali, who before taking the stage in New York, spoke to Richard Madeley.
Why should somebody who maybe had an...
Guyana and stuff, we know like in countries like Guyana, you have a lot of Elam over there that were bought as indentured slaves as well. All right, not obviously they never suffered what the Israelites suffered, but they were brought over there and they had their forms of oppression also. They grew amongst Jake. So, obviously this man is the president over there and he obviously, has that sort of mentality himself,
He had an ancestor 7 or 8 generations ago, long before they were a twinkle in their great-great-great-great-grandparents' eye. Why should they have to pay now for what an ancient ancestor did?
See, this thing keeps coming up. Why? He said, why should they pay for what an ancient ancestor did? Well, there's something called reincarnation. Reincarnate. Re meaning back. Incarnate meaning in the flesh. So there's something called reincarnation. So you are your ancestors, man. You are your forefathers coming back. All right. So all those wicked so-called white men and women from the past that were committing those atrocities in slavery and post-slavery America in, the Jim Crow era of America, all these devils that were back there are back here today. There's something called reincarnation, man. You are your foreparents, man.
Or why should they apologize for what an ancestor did centuries ago? Why do they still carry that burden?
Oh, it's not a burden at all. You are one of the beneficiary of that slave trade. So this is not a burden. You should be concerned, and you should pay, because you today are still benefiting from the greatest indignity to a human being, and that is a slave trade. And not only did you benefit during the slave trade and your country developed, but look at what it caused the developing world. During slavery, resources was used to build your country, build up your capacity. You were able to then become competitive. You were able to invest in mechanization, and
That's what you had in America now. And now in the you know, in the media and stuff, in popular culture, they make jokes about cotton and cotton picking and stuff like that, right? But the cotton industry is what, you know, the cotton industry and slavery of the so-called Negroes in America is what made America rich, all right? Because cotton's in everything, clothing, all sorts of things, man. The cotton industry made America rich, okay? It made it made America rich. The cotton industry, the free labor of the Negroes building America, and the cotton industry, just the cotton industry alone, leaped America thousands of miles ahead of every other nation. Just the cotton industry alone, let alone every other industry that, you know, our people built in America. The cotton industry alone leaped America leaps and bounds. Just like that president of Guyana was saying, you develop the first world, as they call it, is developed based. Why is the first world so developed? It's developed because of slavery. You basically had free labor that made you go leaps and bounds above every other nation.
developing countries like ours were left behind. So you should be very concerned, because you are a prime beneficiary of the exploits of slavery.
I think that was very well put. You know, the idea why this isn't just about our ancestors is essentially because in the West, or countries which participated in the slave trade, we are still benefiting to some degree from the slave trade, because that's one of the reasons why Western countries ended up getting rich. And it's also one of the reasons why some countries in the global South remain rather poor, right? So it's not
And
just...
that's a fact. The Western countries, England, America, Europe, you know, Western Europe, and even Eastern Europe, they benefited from what? They benefited from captivity, man. They benefited from colonialism. Before colonialism, they benefited from the slave trade, you know. Then came into the colonial era. They benefited leaps and bounds through enslaving the nations, but in particular the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans. You know, in particular in Babylon the Great, America's leaps and bounds was leaps and bounds ahead of everyone else because of that wicked act, man. Okay, and now it's time for them to pay, man.
Just an issue from the past, it's also an issue in the present, which is why the demand for reparations is, you know, fairly strong. I think there's a very strong moral case for it, politically rather difficult to make happen, but there's undeniably an incredibly strong moral case for it. There was a moment, though, in this interview that really got Richard Maley riled up, and that was the idea, not that we'd transfer money to countries in the global South, but that Britain's royal family might be involved in any reparations deal.
One of the points you're going to be making today is about our royal family. And you feel that it's not just about the finances involved here in terms of reparations for slavery, it's about the gestures. And you think that the British royal family should make a big gesture, don't you? What do you mean? Hand over a palace to your country?
Well, no, we don't want the British to hand over a palace that we built. You know, if you go into many of the palaces in Britain, you will see the lovely green heartwood from Guyana. You will see the sweat, tears, and blood of the slaves who were exploited.
So what do you want?
And the revenue that was earned from their exploitation. So we're not asking for a palace. We're asking for justice, and a fair form of justice to the ancestors and to the greatest injustice that has ever been done to human beings.
We look forward to...
We're not asking for palaces. You can enjoy the palace, and when we visit you, we'll also enjoy it.
Again, another super articulate answer, I think.
I mean, that's the point, you know. That's the point. But you see these devil stances when it comes to repairing their wrongs, all right? And like this this so-called white man on the screen here, you know what he said? He goes, what did he say? He said, he basically said, pretty much, what did he say? He said, there's a moral case for reparations. Obviously, it will probably be hard to fulfill, but there's a moral case for it because of the wrongs that were done. But it is going to be fulfilled according to the Bible, okay? Because who's the one that's gonna fulfill it? Yahweh Shai, man. See, the Lord's coming back to enslave these Edomites. Okay, He set them up. He set them up to take our people down, to punish us. Okay, and have their world, and have their fun, have their time to rule, and then He's the one that's gonna bring them down. All right, who the world ignorantly calls the J word, which is a so-called Negro named Yahweh Shai, man. So let me read this here. Ecclesiasticus 41:5 says, "The children of sinners are abominable children, and they that are conversant in the dwelling of the ungodly. The inheritance of sinners' children shall perish." Yeah, the children of sinners. Who's the children of sinners? That same devil that was on the desk just now talking to the Prime Minister of Guyana. He's the children of sinners, man. They're the children that have inherited the world their forefathers slaughtered for them to inherit. So the children of sinners are abominable children, and they that are conversant in the dwelling of the ungodly. The inheritance of sinners' children shall perish, and their posterity shall have a perpetual reproach. Yeah, meaning what? Their gain that they have has a perpetual reproach, because all the gain that they have, the thieving and theft that they've done, has a perpetual reproach. Meaning what? Meaning basically, it was done in wrong. So it's always, basically, there's always going to be something. There's always going to be, payback lingering in the back. Basically, there's always going to be a perpetual reproach, meaning they're going to be always complained about for why they're on top. Basically, you know what I mean? You got to go down. You're on top because of colonialism, slavery. It's a perpetual reproach. They'll never stop hearing it because it's a wound that hasn't been cured yet. So the inheritance of sinners' children shall perish, and their inheritance is going to perish. What's their inheritance? The world that they currently own, man. Because make no mistake about it, the so-called white man, even though the lesser nations are getting strong now, these so-called white people, beginning with the international bankers, they're the people on top, the Edomites. Okay, so the inheritance of sinners' children shall perish, and their posterity shall have a perpetual reproach. The children will complain of an ungodly father, because they shall be reproached for his sake. And that's what these Edomites are starting to do. They're complaining of their foreparents, man. Like, what did that devil just say? He said, why should I pay for something that generations and generations ago someone else did? It wasn't me, basically saying, but it was you in the reincarnation. So it says the children will complain of ungodly fathers. So this is what they're starting to do. They're complaining because all the history, they can't get away from it, basically. So the children will complain of an ungodly father, because they shall be reproached for his sake. Woe be unto, they're going to pay for their forefathers' mistakes, basically. Okay? They're going to pay for the crimes of their forefathers, which was what? Captivity. The captivity of so-called black men, Hispanic men, Native American men. Okay? The stealing, the land theft of the natives, the land thefts of the Native Americans. Okay, you're gonna pay for all of that. The trail of tears, all the bloodshed that you've caused, man. All right, not to mention post-slavery, Jim Crow laws, segregation in the South, which we're supposed to be segregated anyway. But the economic woes you've put our people through, man. All the hell you've put on our people. You're gonna pay for all of that. Okay, and this is what the scripture says, Revelation 13:9. And I'll finish on this. It says, Revelation 13:9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. And that's what we are patiently waiting for. So-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans. What are we patiently waiting for? The elect, the hopeful elect. We're patiently waiting, for our time to be back on top. We're patiently waiting for the Lord to come back and enslave the other nations, in particular the so-called white man. Put an end to this horror show, man, because it's like a horror movie with these devils on top. But they're going down. The prophecies moving forward that they're going down anyway. But the point is, we need them to be brought down, man. Okay? He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. And that's what we patiently and faithfully are waiting for, man. Okay? So that's going to be the true reparation. They're going to have to, they're going in captivity. All right. So, with that, I'm going to say all praises unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakha, Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. And shalom to the hopeful elect Archiam that are teaching this word. Shalom, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakha, Kodash. Shalom, shalom.